Hello guys, welcome back to my channel and enjoy this fanfic part 1. Now let's start the fanfic. Tsunade poured a liquid into a test tube. She looked at Shizune and handed her the bottle. She poured it into another liquid and then looked at her sensei. Are you sure this is gonna work? It should. If I made all of my calculations correct, then this should decrease the time it takes to cure a major wound during battle. It would save time and lives. Shizune smiled. That's good. I'm glad to hear that you've actually been doing something to help the village and not just drinking every chance you got. HMPH. I know my job. She picked up the completed medicine and looked at Shizune. Alright, it's done. Now all we need is a guinea pig. And who exactly do you have in mind? Get Naruto. Tsunade-sama. Are you crazy? What? You can't do that. What if he gets hurt? He's a child who knows what this could do to him. He won't. He's got the Kyuubi. If anything, that stupid fox will prevent the kid from dying, and plus he Kyuubi already speeds up his healing to he should heal quickly enough already. Shizune sighed. She knew it was pointless to argue with her not-so-sane Hokage. She walked out of the room to get Naruto. About 15 minutes later, Shizune arrived with Naruto. He walked up to Tsunade and crossed his arms. What do you want, Ba-chan? Tsunade sighed. What a lovely greeting I get from you. Anyway, I need you to test out a medicine for me. What's in it for me? I'll pay for your ramen whenever you want for a month. Naruto's eyes widened. Yes, I'll do it. She smiled and put her hand on his head. Alright, first I'm gonna hit you pretty hard, so brace yourself. She pulled her arm back and punched him hard in the stomach. Naruto collapsed and moaned in pain. Tsunade knelt down next to him and poured the medicine down his throat. She quickly placed her hands on his stomach and began to heal the organs she had damaged. She placed Naruto's head in her lap and watched as her medicine took effect. Hey kid, you okay? I think so. He sat up and stretched his arms. Damn, you hit really hard. Tsunade stood up and smirked. Well, at least I know it worked. Okay, I'm done with you. Thanks. Wait a minute. I want ramen. Already. Hi. She frowned. Alright, let's go. I'm hungry too. She led him out the door and to the Ichiraku. They arrived at the ramen shop. They ordered their ramen and talked for a bit. Tsunade placed her hand on Naruto's head. Do you feel sick or dizzy? No, for the 1000th time. I'm fine. He watched Ayame place a bowl in front of him and then grabbed a pair of chopsticks and began eating. That's strange. There's no side effects. Tsunade shrugged. Okay then, that worked better than I expected. She began eating her ramen when she felt two hands on her shoulders. She turned around and saw Jiraiya smiling at her. Hello, Tsunade-hime. Jiraiya, those hands better not move any further down or I'll kill you. Hey, believe me, I know very well what you're capable of. He sat down next to her and ordered a bowl of ramen. He looked over to Naruto, who was ordering his 5th bowl. He shouted, another one please. Ayame chuckled. You're ordering more than usual. Did you get paid today? Nope. I'm gonna eat as much as I want since Tsunade Oba-chan is paying for it. Tsunade frowned. Damn it, Naruto. How much ramen can you eat in open month? Jiraiya giggled. You have no idea what you just got yourself into, hime. This kid eats about a year and a half supply of ramen in 1 month. She laid her head down on the table. I wish I had known that before I made the offer. Naruto finally finished eating all of his ramen and left Tsunade paying for the 9 bowls he had and the one she had. Jiraiya offered to help her pay, but she didn't accept. The two Sannin and Genin headed back to their homes. Tsunade walked in to find Shizune in the living room talking with her Junin friends Genma, Raida, Azumo, and Kotetsu. Tsunade shook her head. Shizune, don't you have any female friends? Besides you, not really. You only put me to work with guys. Alright, so why did you do while I was gone? Eat and watch TV. Aren't you productive? Genma defended Shizune. You're not one to talk. You just sleep, drink, and gamble. Tsunade hit Genma's head and glared at him, sending everyone in that room into more fear of Tsunade than they already had of her. I have a job, you know. I can give you the worst tasks, Genma. I'd watch who I was talking to if I were you. He held his head and hid behind Shizune. Hi, Tsunade-sama. It was getting late and everyone started to leave. Shizune made Tsunade a cup of tea and sat down next to her. How was your day? Alright. Naruto's gonna leave to village bankrupt though. Shizune giggled. He eats that much ramen, huh? Tsunade nodded. Well, good luck with that. The next day seemed to be going well for Tsunade. She had no paperwork, was able to bathe in the hot springs without Jiraiya spying on her, and Kaharu wasn't nagging her. This day seemed perfect. Almost too perfect. She had a weird feeling something bad was going to happen. A knock came on her door. Come in, she shouted. Jiraiya rushed in and grabbed Tsunade's arm. He pulled her from her chair. Tsunade, I need you to come with me and fast. What's going on? No time to explain. I need you to come to my house. Tsunade pulled free from his grasp. This better not be some excuse to get me in bed with you. It's not. I mean it. Come on, I can't leave him alone for a long time. She sighed. Alright, let's go. They both ran through the door to Jiraiya's house. Once they arrived, Tsunade gasped. A little boy with blonde hair sat on the living room floor watching SpongeBob and eating a bowl of dry cereal. Tsunade turned to Jiraiya and slapped him across the face. He glared at her. What was that for? You left a child alone eating. What if he choked? That's not the problem. That's Naruto. I can see that. I'm not stupid. I didn't say you were. Tsunade was about to speak when she saw Naruto run up to Jiraiya. Yay! Daddy's back. The child shouted. Tsunade tried not to laugh, but the thought of Jiraiya being a father was just too funny. Jiraiya glared at her. Hush. Naruto looked at Tsunade and hugged her. Mommy. And no, I'm not. Jiraiya laughed as Tsunade's face turned red. Good job. Naruto stops calling you Ba-chan and now your mother. Shut the hell up. Temper. Harem. There are children in the room. He pointed to Naruto. Tsunade pouted in defeat. Mind telling me how this happened, Jiraiya? I was hoping you could tell me. She watched Naruto bounce up and down dancing to a song on TV. She smiled at how adorable he was. She sighed. I'll do a checkup on him. Naruto, come here. Naruto ran up to her. She picked him up and looked at Jiraiya. Where's your kitchen? He led her to the kitchen and she placed Naruto on the counter. Lay down. He did what she said. She lifted the white t-shirt he was wearing and placed her hands on his stomach, trying to figure out what was wrong. When she was done, she pulled his shirt back down and lifted him off of the counter. He ran back to watch TV. Tsunade walked up to Jiraiya. So how did he get this way? It may have been that medicine Naruto tested for me. That's why they had no side effects. The side effects take at least a day before kicking in. And how do we get him back to normal? Tsunade shook her head. We wait for the side effects to wear off. Until then, I'll leave him with you. I mean, you practically raised Minato until he became Yondaime. Jiraiya crossed his arms. I'm not taking responsibility for your mistake. So what's your idea? I can't take care of him. I've never taken care of a young child before. He pulled a coin out of his pocket. If it's heads, I'll take care of him by myself, but if it's tails, we take care of him together and you live with me until head's back to normal. Damn it. Why do I have to live with you? To make life easier. If you're here, then I don't have to worry about getting him to you every day. She forgot all about her terrible reign of bad luck in a desperation to win and agreed to Jiraiya's terms. He flipped the coin and much to her horror, it landed on tails. Jiraiya smiled at her. You lose as usual. Tsunade blushed. I hate you. If you were smart, you would have remembered what a terrible gambler you were, even if you have a 50-50 chance of winning. Jiraiya walked back to the living room with Tsunade. She sat down on the couch while Jiraiya went to find a scroll for Naruto to draw on. He gave him a pencil and then sat down next to Tsunade, who was still mad about losing to him. He looked at her. We're going to need to buy him clothes and toys even though this isn't permanent. Yeah, and I guess when he's back to normal we can just donate the stuff to charity. We can start now since it's only early afternoon. He stood up and smiled at Tsunade. He grabbed her arm and pulled her from the couch. She placed her free hand on Naruto's head. Come on, kiddo. We're going out. He looked at her and smiled. He ran to get his shoes. The two Sannin followed the child. Tsunade grabbed Naruto's hand and led him through the door. She looked at Jiraiya. Let's stop at the Hokage Tower, so I can tell Shizune what's going on. The two legendary ninjas and the bouncy child walked through the streets. As they walked by, they received many looks from the villagers. Jiraiya ignored it and kept annoying Naruto. Tsunade was trying to figure out what was the reason they keep staring at them. They arrived at the Hokage Tower and saw Shizune placing a book into the bookshelf. She looked over to her Hokage. Tsunade-sama, who is that boy? Books. Long story short, the medicine doesn't work, so that's Naruto. She nodded and looked over to the little boy who was tugging on Jiraiya's long and wild hair. We're going shopping now, he's gonna be like this for a while. Oh, and I'm also gonna be staying at Jiraiya's place until he's back to normal. So can you pack a bag of clothes for me and drop it off at his house? Shizune nodded. Sure, but why are you gonna be staying with him for a while? Jiraiya smirked. Because Tsunade decided that she would challenge me in a coin toss and she lost, so now she's stuck babysitting along with me. Shizune giggled. Wow, Tsunade-sama. You need to stop doing all that gambling. It wasn't a gamble, it was stupidity and a need to stop losing. Something tells me that you didn't mind having to take care of Naruto with Jiraiya and that's why you took tea. Jiraiya laughed and Tsunade glared at her assistant. Don't count on it. Come on, we're going. I'll see you later, Shizune. The three headed out again and still received strange looks from the villagers. Jiraiya finally noticed that they were being watched as they walked down the streets of Konoha. He looked over to Tsunade. Hey Harem, have you noticed that we were being stared at the entire way here? Yes, I have. Okay. I want to know what's going on. Me too. She spotted Anko and called out to her. Mitsurushi, come here. Anko spotted her and slowly walked up to her. Hey Tsunade-sama. What's up? Do you have any idea why we were getting stared at the entire way to the Hokage Tower? And don't you dare try and lie to me because I know you know. You know every rumor that goes around this village. Anko was very frightened. Tsunade was a very scary woman after all. Possibly the most frightening human being. Well, I can't. I don't want to be the one you kill. I didn't start the rumor. Honestly, it's okay, Anko. I want to know what the rumor is. Oh, I just remembered Kurenai needed me to help her pick out an outfit for her date with Asuma tomorrow night. Sorry Tsunade-sama, gotta run. She ran so fast Tsunade didn't have time to reply. Jiraiya crossed his arms. Well, the rumor must be pretty bad if Anko couldn't open up that big mouth of hers to tell us. Kakashi then walked up behind Hisanin. Oh, so the rumors are true. Wow, Tsunade-sama, I knew you were an amazing ninja, but I didn't know you could hide a child until he was about what, 5? Maybe 6 years old. So how on earth did you manage to hide that stomach for 9 months without anyone noticing? Tsunade gave him the most confused face she could give. Kakashi, what the hell are you talking about? Well, I just got back from my mission and the minute I walked through the gates, Genma told me about a rumor that was going around about you and Jiraiya. And the rumor is, what? That you and Jiraiya have been secretly married and have a 5-year-old son. The two Sannin yelled in unison. What? Hey, don't yell at me. It's only what I heard. Naruto tugged on Tsunade's pant leg. She looked down at him. What is it? I'm hungry, mommy. He smiled at her. Tsunade cursed in her head. Damn it, Naruto. Now the village is definitely going to think you're my kid. Discover more. Terms of service consultation. TV show guides. Writing software. Gaming accessories. Author interviews. Comic book subscriptions. Mobile app development. Privacy policy templates. Twitter marketing services. Cartoon character art. She blushed. Well, I just don't understand why the village would think that Naruto was our kid. Jiraiya was just as annoyed as she was. Yeah, I mean Tsunade is old and she probably can't have kids anymore, so what would give them that idea? Tsunade punched Jiraiya in the head. Shut up. People at my age can have children if they're healthy enough. Nice, Haim. You have just now convinced even more people to believe this kid is ours. Tsunade mentally slapped herself for being so stupid. Kakashi shook his head. Well, I think all of the villagers believe that this is your kid. I mean, he's got Jiraiya's wild hair. Tsunade's hair color. It's a possibility that he could be yours. Tsunade growled. He's not our kid. This is Naruto. I screwed up a medicine I was working on and now he's 5 and I'm helping Jiraiya take care of him for a little while. It's no big deal. Okay. Now tell the rest of the village that they shouldn't jump to conclusions. Naruto hid behind Jiraiya. Mommy is scary. Jiraiya nodded. I know. Believe me, I know. Kakashi backed away slowly. Okay. Just try and stay calm. You're scaring your kid. With that, he ran away from her before she had time to grab him by the neck and strangle him for saying that. He's not my kid. She went to run after Kakashi, but Jiraiya got hold of one of her pigtails and pulled her back, causing her to fall backwards. She grabbed her head. Ow. Damn it, Jiraiya. That hurt. Stop acting like a kid and let's go. He was right though. You're scaring Naruto. Tsunade stood up and grabbed Naruto's hand again. Okay. I'm done. Let's get going. They finally arrived at the mall and sat down at the food court to eat first. Jiraiya bought pizza for all of them. Tsunade cut up the pizza into tiny pieces for Naruto, but he still managed to get it all over his face. When they were done eating lunch, they headed to some of the stores to buy clothes for Naruto. Jiraiya watched Tsunade as she picked up an outfit for him. She caught him staring at her and smirked. Why are you looking at me? No reason. You just seem to be really good at this. At what? Taking care of children. You would have been a good mother. Maybe if Dan hadn't died, but I think it would be too much work. Hey, sure. Anything for you is too much work. She smiled at him and looked at Naruto holding up 2 shirts to him. A blue one with a car on it and a red one with a basketball hoop on it. Which one do you like more? Naruto pointed to the blue one. I like that one. It has a car. She giggled. Ah, he's so much cuter now. I wish I was around when he was this age. Jiraiya kept walking beside her. I wish you were around too. It was boring in Konoha without you and Orochimaru around. Let's not start on this. You know why I had to leave. And Orochimaru was always a little creepy. You've gotta admit, he looked evil from the time we were children. Jiraiya shrugged as they continued shopping. Finally they were done and left the mall. Tsunade grabbed 2 of the bag and Jiraiya grabbed 1 bag and Naruto. He placed Naruto on his back and looked at Tsunade. Hey, I bet me and Naruto can get back to my place faster than you. Ha, you're slower than me, baka. That's not even a challenge. Fine, then I win by default. Not so faster. I accept. The 2 Sannin began racing through the streets of Konoha. Naruto liked this game. He was moving so fast and he didn't even have to move on his own. Jiraiya stopped when he reached the front door. He put Naruto down and saw Tsunade running in after him. She tripped and fell on top of him. He hit the floor hard, but Tsunade was cushioned by falling on top of him. OWW. You okay, baka? She got off of him and sat on the floor. I think I'm alright. I just hurt my back pretty bad. Tsunade placed her hands on his shoulders and began massaging his back. Better now. Yeah, but I wouldn't mind continuing this later. Don't push it. She stood up and picked up Naruto and put him on the couch. She sat next to him. Jiraiya stood up. I guess I'll start dinner. Tsunade rose her eyebrow. You cook? Yeah, I've been living on my own for a while. You still can't cook right? Figures. It's too much work, right? He laughed at her as she turned red. Shut up. Jiraiya began cooking. He peered through the doorway and watched Tsunade give Naruto a toy car that she had bought for him. He sat on the floor and began to play with it. Jiraiya shook his head and began stirring the stew. Tsunade took all of the clothes out of the bags and folded them neatly into a pile. Naruto pulled at her pant leg and she looked at him and smiled. What is it? He held up a box of blocks. Play with me. She looked at his adorable face and immediately said yes. She sat down on the floor and helped him build a castle. A little while later, Jiraiya placed the food on the table. He looked over to Tsunade. The food's ready. Tsunade walked to the table with Naruto and sat down to eat. She took one bit of Jiraiya's cooking and immediately fell in love with it. Jiraiya, this is the best food I've ever tasted. Why didn't you tell me you could cook? I would have married you for this every night. Darn it, I should have cooked for you years ago then. Oh well. Hey, thank you Tsunade. That's the first compliment I've gotten from you in months. After dinner Naruto was a mess, again. He had somehow managed to get most of the food everywhere but his mouth. Tsunade handed Jiraiya one of the pajamas. Here, go give Naruto a bath and I'll clean up here. Why do I have to do it? Because I've done enough with him. Now get going. Jiraiya pouted and grabbed Naruto's hand. Tsunade giggled and began to clean up the table. Jiraiya walked back to the living room soaking wet with Naruto. Tsunade looked at him and laughed. I said give Naruto a bath, not yourself. Shut up. Naruto splashed water everywhere. I was in there 10 minutes longer than I had to be because of all the water. Naruto ran up to Tsunade and wrapped his arms around her. She giggled. Well, it's obvious who he likes more, right Naruto? Naruto nodded and leaned his head on her shoulder. Jiraiya glared at the little boy. If that were true, then why couldn't you take care of him yourself? It wouldn't be as fun. Then me and Naruto can't talk about you behind your back. Tsunade cradled Naruto and smiled. Jiraiya frowned. HMPH lucky kid. Tsunade's so awful to me. Why don't you treat me like that? 'Cause you're not a little kid and you'd probably feel me up and the list goes on. Jiraiya sighed. Fine. I'll be back. He left for his room to change from his very wet clothing. Tsunade sat on the couch with Naruto and watched a stupid cartoon on Cartoon Network. Jiraiya walked into the room and sat beside her. Naruto laid on her lap and yawned. Tsunade looked over to Jiraiya. What are we going to do for sleeping arrangements? Jiraiya smirked. I don't know. I only have one room and the couch. Tsunade frowned. No, I am not sleeping with you, so don't get any ideas. That was not in our bet, so you can forget about it. Ah, come on Tsunade. Absolutely not. I would like to sleep without worrying about someone feeling me up in the middle of the night. Me and Naruto will sleep on your bed and you'll sleep on the couch. Naruto can't sleep on the couch. He might roll off. But what if we set up a bed on the floor for him and then me and you will take the bed? That way he can't fall off of anything and we'll both be in the room with him. Tsunade froze. Jiraiya had just beat her. She couldn't talk him out of it. Fine, Jiraiya. But I swear, if you laid a finger on a spot where it's not supposed to be, I'll rip you limb from limb. Jiraiya hugged her tightly. Thank you, Harem. I won. Touch you. I promise. Tsunade rolled her eyes. Geez, you're acting like you've never had a girl in bed with you before. Well, you're different. How? She questioned while Naruto crawled on her. He laid his he on her shoulder. She looked at the child and then back to Jiraiya. We'll continue this discussion some other time. Naruto's tired. She stood up and carried Naruto to the room. Jiraiya followed her and set up Naruto's bed. She laid him down and pulled the blanket over him. She kissed his forehead. Good night. He hugged and smiled. Good night. She walked out of the room with Jiraiya. He closed the door slightly and sat on the couch. Tsunade went through the bag that Shizune packed for her and dug out her pajamas. She walked to the bathroom and quickly changed. When she walked out, Jiraiya looked at her and smirked. That's not something I'd expect you to wear. You seem more feminine than that. Tsunade crossed her arms. She was wearing a low-cut green t-shirt and dark blue sweatpants. Well, what would you expect me to wear? Something with lace. A nightgown or something like that. She giggled. I hate lace and nightgowns are very uncomfortable. She walked to the couch and sat down. She leaned her head on Jiraiya's shoulder. He looked at her. You don't hate me anymore. When did I hate you? You just seem to hate me whenever I do anything nice for you or talk to you. Ah, of course I don't hate you, Baka. I'm just like that. You should know that by now. I don't mean to hurt you, but I'm just really bitchy sometimes. I'll say. They both laughed. Jiraiya put his arm around her. So, any ideas how much longer Naruto's gonna be stuck like this? She shrugged. Who knows? I don't mind. It takes my mind off of things and keeps me busy. And it's a hell lot more fun than doing paperwork. Jiraiya chuckled. Yeah, this is gonna keep me from doing my research for a while. But I have you. He smirked. Tsunade picked her head off of his shoulder. Don't get any ideas, Baka. I'm not gonna let you take advantage of me like that. I would never do that to you. No matter how much of a perv I am. Oh yeah, we never finished our discussion. Why am I different than other girls? Because you're important to me. And I actually know you. Not like those other girls who I don't really know or care for. Tsunade leaned on him again. That's interesting. She closed her eyes and fell asleep on his shoulder. Jiraiya gently lifted her and carried her to the bedroom. He laid her down on the bed and pulled the blanket over her before laying in bed and falling asleep. Did you hear about the Kyuubi brat? Yes, this is going to be a lot easier now. Not really. With two of the Sannin watching him, it could be more challenging. Ooh, this sounds exciting. We will not let our leader down. Let's get moving. Tsunade rolled over in the bed. She clutched her pillow and buried her face into it. Jiraiya had his arm around her shoulders and held her tightly to him. It was really comfortable for both of them. Unfortunately, their peace did not last for long. Naruto had woken up and jumped on their bed. Tsunade groaned. Naruto, stop jumping on the bed. Jiraiya rubbed his eyes. Yeah, it's too early. He yawned and buried his face into Tsunade's hair. Naruto made one last jump onto the two Sannin. He grabbed Jiraiya's hair and pulled it. Wake up. I wanna play. Tsunade rolled onto her stomach and faced Jiraiya. They both sighed. Go start breakfast. I'll take him. He stretched and put his arms behind his head. Damn, and I was really comfortable. Hey, so was I. See, I didn't grope you, but you are really cute when you're asleep. Go cook, Baka. She hit him lightly. He chuckled and went to the kitchen to cook pancakes for the three of them. Tsunade walked in a little bit later. She poured Naruto some orange juice and sat across from him. She looked at Jiraiya. Didn't you get lonely living alone? It must have been really quiet before me and Naruto came along. Yeah, but I got used to it. And I'm usually not alone, if you know what I mean. He gave her a lecherous grin. Tsunade rolled her eyes. Pervert. And you wonder why I never agreed to go out with you. He set a plate of pancakes in front of them. He cut up Naruto's food into little pieces and watched as he got SYUP all over his face. After they finished eating, Tsunade wiped down Naruto's sticky face and fingers and then went to do the dishes. Jiraiya sighed. Tsunade, I didn't want you here so you could be my maid. You don't have to clean up. I know. I just don't want to seem useless here. I usually help Shizune around the house. Humor me, Jiraiya. Why did you want me here? I wanted to spend more time with you. You're always buys with the village and stuff. It's so hard to get hold of you. I figured if you were here then I could talk to you more often. She smiled. Sounds good to me. I feel the same. This does make it easier to talk to you, but unfortunately I have work now, so you take Naruto for the day. I can't. I have to go to that stupid meeting for you. I'm pretty sure the council will not be happy with a little kid running around while we are having the meeting. Tsunade frowned. With Naruto in the office while she's working, she would be so easily distracted. I know. I'll give him to Shizune. Are you sure she can handle him? I mean, there's two of us and we still have a hard time dealing with him. She'll be fine. She has great motherly skills. Tsunade got dressed and packed a bag for Naruto. When Naruto and Jiraiya were done, The three of them left the house. Jiraiya walked in the opposite direction of Tsunade and Naruto. Once they made it to the Hokage Tower, Tsunade spotted Shizune carrying a heavy bundle of papers through the door. The girl was obviously struggling. Tsunade picked up a bunch of the papers off of the top end and smiled. Good morning, Shizune. She walked into her office and placed the papers down on her desk. Shizune followed and placed the papers onto the desk as well. You seem unusually happy today. What happened last night with Jiraiya? You make it sound like I actually did something with the pervert. Nah, I just got a really good sleep last night. She sat down in her chair and Naruto ran into her lap. She kissed his cheek and smiled. You're so good with him. Despite your personality, you would have made a good mother. I don't think so. Too much work and there would be no time for drinking and having a good time. Naruto continuously poked at the diamond on Tsunade's forehead. Shizune giggled. He's so cute. I'm glad you feel that way because I need you to take care of him for me, so I can get these documents done. Why do I have to do it? Think of it as training for when you have your own children someday. She blushed. I'm not thinking of having children and I've never even had a boyfriend. Tsunade narrowed her eyes. Well, get started. What on earth are you waiting for? At your age I was already dating you uncle and you're only young for so long. What about Genma? I hear he's single. Haven't you had your eye on him for a while? How did you know about that? I know everything about this village and Anko told me. But if you really want him, you better make your move now because Genma's cute and a real gentleman. He won't be single for much longer. Shizune was now completely red. She narrowed her eyes and looked at her crazy teacher. I don't need advice from a woman who's not married at the age of 50. Tsunade immediately shut up and sighed. Just take him, please. Shizune realized it was pointless to argue and did as she was told. Tsunade shook her head and began to write her papers. It was now evening and Tsunade had finally finished all of her papers. She looked at her clock and saw that it was 9:30. Strange. I haven't seen Shizune all day. There was a tap at her window. She turned around and saw Jiraiya grinning at her. She smiled and let him in. I have a door, you know. Yes, but it's more fun coming in this way. So where's the kid? With Shizune, but I haven't seen her since this morning and she would usually come in here 100 times to make sure I am still working. Jiraiya placed his hands on her shoulders. I'm sure she's fine. Come on, let's go to your place to pick him up. She nodded and led Jiraiya to her apartment. She unlocked the door and stepped in. Shizune. Jiraiya looked around the apartment and frowned. What happened here? It's a mess. Shizune wouldn't do this. Tsunade stepped into the kitchen and her eyes widened. Shizune. She ran up to her apprentice who was now lying on the floor unconscious. She saw a number of deep wounds on her body and quickly proceeded to heal them. She noticed something strange. She was shaking. Tsunade put her hand on her forehead and got nervous. The Tsukuyomi. Jiraiya. Find Naruto. Jiraiya searched the apartment for the little blonde boy. He called out for him, but got no reply. He walked into of the bedroom and opened up the tiny shoe closet. He found Naruto curled up into a ball. Jiraiya sighed in relief. Naruto, are you alright? Naruto looked at him. You were playing hide and seek too. I thought it was only me and Shizune-chan. Jiraiya picked up Naruto and carried him into the kitchen. He saw Tsunade lift Shizune onto her back. She needs surgery. She was cut up pretty badly. Is Naruto okay? Yeah, apparently him and Shizune were playing hide and seek when the Akatsuki attacked. They probably couldn't find him before we came. That's good, but the fact that they knew where to look for him means that they know the situation. The two of them rushed to the hospital to get Shizune into the emergency room. Jiraiya and Naruto waited 3 hours for Tsunade to finish the surgery. She walked into the waiting room and looked at Jiraiya. She's unconscious. We can't tell if she'll live or not. She lost a lot of blood. Jiraiya wrapped an arm around her. It's okay. Don't stress yourself. She'll be alright. Tsunade nodded. Let's go home. When they arrived at the house, Tsunade threw herself onto the couch while Jiraiya put Naruto to sleep. He came back and sat beside her. He looked at Tsunade's face and noticed a tear traveling down the side of her cheek. He gentle brushed it away. Don't do this to yourself. Why does this keep happening to me? It's not fair. I can't lose her. I just can't go through this again. She sobbed softly. Jiraiya got her a napkin to wipe her face and a glass of water to calm her down. It's okay, Tsunade. She'll be fine. And I'll be with you until she gets better. But for right now we need to worry about the Akatsuki. We just keep Naruto in our sights at all time. It would be stupid for them to take us both on together. Jiraiya wrapped his arm around her and tried to calm her down, but she tried to pull away from him. Jiraiya, let me go. What's wrong, Harem? What's wrong? Shizune's in the hospital dying and you're touching me, and stop calling me that. It's getting old. Jiraiya let her go and looked at her strangely. She's always liked it when he called her Tsunade Harem, and now all of a sudden it's a problem. What did I do to you? Nothing, I'm just pissed off right now. And I don't need you taking advantage of the fact that I've broken down like this. Jiraiya stood up and walked to the door. Tsunade looked at him. Where are you going? I'm leaving you alone. Obviously you can handle yourself, so you don't need me to help you. Fine then. Find someone else to care for you when you're alone. Tsunade was about to say something when the door slammed. She sighed and ran her fingers through her hair. Tsunade stood up and walked into the bedroom. She sat next to Naruto's bed and watched his body move with every breath. She ran her fingers through his hair and kissed his forehead. She knew Naruto did look like her and Jiraiya's kid. There was a reason for that. Although he may not be her son, they are still related. Tsunade had gone out drinking with Jiraiya when they were really young, and Jiraiya had gotten her pregnant. She never told anyone but her sensei, and they made arrangements for the child to be born without anyone in Konoha knowing. She went on a mission for almost 9 months and had delivered a little boy. A boy that would soon be known as the greatest Hokage who ever lived, 4th Hokage Minato. She had told Sarutobi to make sure the baby was put into Jiraiya's care somehow because she couldn't raise the child on her own. He did and placed their son as his student. He never knew, and to this day he still doesn't know. It will be the one decision that she will regret for the rest of her life. She looked at her grandson and sighed. She really didn't know why she didn't like Jiraiya. He wasn't that bad, and yet she just kept her distance from him. She didn't understand why, because she used to have a crush on him when they were kids. It's because of all his damn teasing. He made me so conscious about the way I looked or acted. She sat on the bed and felt tears run down her face. She needed Jiraiya more than she thought. He's always been there for her and took care of her when the going got rough. Jiraiya watched from the window as her crying got harder. He knew Tsunade well enough to know that it took a lot to get her like this. She was a strong woman and almost nothing brought her to tears. He frowned. I'm pushing her too far. He slid the window open and walked up behind her. Hi, Tsunade, I'm sorry. She looked at him and wiped her tears away. She wrapped her arms around him. Me too. So we can be friends again. She nodded. Can I call you Harem again? She nodded again. He smiled and wrapped his arms around her. Tsunade smiled. I'll try to be less bitchy. Nah, you wouldn't be the same if you weren't bitchy. Jiraiya let her go and walked to the bathroom to change. Tsunade laid down in the bed and sighed. She looked over to the nightstand and picked up a picture of her team when they were kids. Jiraiya had his arms around her and she was blushing and pushing him away. Orochimaru was leaning on Tsunade's shoulder. Sarutobi looked annoyed with them. She smiled and placed the picture down. They were such stupid children. She missed the days when the three of them would be able to joke around and have fun. Now Orochimaru was gone and evil and her and Jiraiya were always at each other's throats. Jiraiya laid on the bed with Tsunade. Get some sleep. I'll try. She rolled over to face him and cuddled into his chest. Good night. Jiraiya wrapped his arm around her and watched her fall asleep. When he was sure she was sleeping, He brushed a few strands of hair from her face and kissed the diamond on her forehead. Good night. Tsunade woke up and yawned. She looked at the clock. 2:30 a.m. Why am I up so early? She looked to her left. Jiraiya was sleeping soundly with his arms wrapped tightly around her. Tsunade shook her head. He's still trying to take care of me. Tsunade struggled to break free of his grasp without waking him up. When she broke free, she sat in the kitchen. She began thinking about a lot. She was thinking about how to change Naruto back, how to deal with the Akatsuki, and what to do about her toad sage. It was that she didn't like Jiraiya, it was just that he was always too affectionate with her. He didn't understand that she didn't want to move away from Dan. She really loved him and she felt that Jiraiya was trying to change that. Tsunade felt that if she tried to move on, she was betraying Dan. Boo! A voice from behind her shouted. She shrieked and fell out of her chair. She hit her head on the way down. She looked at the person who scared her. It was Naruto, who was now laughing at her. Ha ha ha, you fell. Jiraiya flicked on the lights. What are you two doing out of bed? Naruto pointed at Tsunade. I heard mommy leave the room so I followed her and scared her. Well, I can see that it worked. Hey, good job. Now go to bed so I can talk with her. Naruto looked at Jiraiya with sad eyes. Is she in trouble? No, I just need to talk with her. Are you getting a divorce? Jiraiya raised his eyebrow. Do you even know what that word means? Nope. I just know it starts with AD. Tsunade giggled and stood up. Getting going, Naruto. Naruto ran to the bedroom door. He stopped and turned to them. Good night. The two Sannin said in unison. Good night. Tsunade sat back down on her chair. Jiraiya sat next to her. He looked at her and noticed how upset she looked. Are you alright? You're usually able to sense people much quicker than that, especially if it's a child. I was just deep in thought. She leaned her head onto the table and sighed. Jiraiya slid his hand under her chin and made her face him. About what? She blushed. She could not tell him that she was thinking about him. He would never let her live it down. Stuff. Stuff like what? She looked down. I can't tell you. He giggled. Ah, Tsunade Harem. You can tell me anything. Don't take it the wrong way or anything, but I do have a personal life that you should stay out of. Come on, Tsunade. It can't be that bad. She sighed. Fine. I was thinking about you. Not in that way though. More of all the things you do to annoy me. He laughed. Harem, I know you can write a book on reasons why I annoy you. Tell me some of the ones you thought of today. 1. You're always flirting with me and I'm sick of it. 2. I have a part of my life that doesn't involve you stalking me. 3. The list is too long so I'll stop here. Jiraiya frowned. I can't help it, Harem. You're an interesting woman. Tsunade glared at him. You liar. If that were true, it wouldn't have mattered that I was flat-chested when I was younger. And then even after I had developed something, you still went after much prettier girls than me. Jiraiya smiled. Why are you so jealous? I thought you didn't like me. Tsunade blushed. I'm not jealous, just annoyed. Geez, everything annoys you. Anyway, that's not true. I did find you attractive, it was just harder for me to show that because you're just more important to me than any other woman. And I didn't want to wind up hurting you. Tsunade crossed her arms. Jiraiya, that's not. You don't understand. I'm really not jealous. It's just. Never mind. Tsunade Harem, I have no idea what you're trying to say. Just stop flirting with me, okay? It's not fun anymore. We're not young and it's a little weird now. Besides, I know you only like me for my body anyway. Is that the reason you're always the first one around to comfort me? Jiraiya frowned. What she said wasn't completely wrong. He did like her body, but that was only one of the many things he liked about her. He was a little hurt that she thought that was the only reason he enjoyed being with her. Tsunade and Jiraiya had been together since they were 8 years old. He didn't understand how she could think their friendship meant nothing to him. If anything, he was the one who kept it together even when they were young. He was always the one to apologize to Tsunade after a fight out of fear that she would never forgive him for something even if the fight wasn't his fault. Tsunade, that was a little harsh. I'll stop flirting with you, but I only really did it because I like to tease you. I don't know why you're suddenly offended by everything. We've been acting like this since we were young. I've never really wanted you like that. He was lying to make her feel better. He had always wanted her. He used other women just to get over her. Unfortunately, none of those women ever came close to her. She sighed and blushed slightly. She was always so mean to him. She constantly hit him, pushed him around, and always called him names that were very harsh even for her. Yet he always came back for her. To help when she needed it. She could never figure out why. Jiraiya, you do know that when we were kids, I had a crush on you. I never said anything because I thought you hated me. Flashback. A young Tsunade sat on a swing in the park. Most people would call her crazy for sitting in the park when there was a storm approaching, but she didn't care. She needed to be alone so no one would see her crying. She had been talking with Jiraiya and he spotted a girl who was probably a few years older than her. He immediately pushed Tsunade out of the way to follow her. Tsunade had grabbed him back. What are you doing? Let go. She'll get away. Jiraiya, what is your problem? She's probably not gonna be interested in an idiot like you. Yeah, well, maybe if you developed a chest you would earn my attention more. Now seriously, let go. Tsunade let him go and was about to run off, but not before she hit him across the face. She ran off so fast, leaving a very confused Jiraiya on the ground watching her as she ran past a crowd of people. Tsunade was a tomboy. She liked being rough and she wasn't into girly things at all. She had been considered strange by Jiraiya, but Orochimaru and Sarutobi found nothing wrong with her. Of course, the only person whose opinion she cared for was Jiraiya's, and yet he always found a way to make her cry. Such as giving her cruel nickname like flat-chested bitch. He never had anything nice to say to her. Tsunade was always self-conscious of herself because of the things he told her. You're eating too much. When are you going to develop? Why don't you wear makeup like the other girls? You're always covered in mud. No wonder no guy will ever like you. Those are all the things he would say to her. Jiraiya gave Tsunade a light push on the swing. She turned her head and wiped away her tears. What do you want? Come back to torment me more about how imperfect I am? What's wrong with me now? Is my hair too blonde for you? I'm sorry. I didn't realize what I was doing to you. Don't change. I do like you, but I don't think before I speak sometimes, and I never realize it until it's too late. When I saw you run off like that today, I realized that I was hurting you. I even came up with a new nickname for you. Tsunade tilted her head. What is it? Tsunade Harem. She scrunched her face. Ew. Why would you call me that? Because princesses are always perfect, just like you. She blushed and hopped off of the swing. She wrapped her arms around him. Thank you. I forgive you. So am I too much like a boy or what? Hey. It's okay. It's much easier to talk to you than most other girls who are just stuck up. Compared to them, you're the queen of nice. She giggled and grabbed his arm. Come on, Baka. It's about to rain. Oh, and by the way, that's your new nickname. No fair. I gave you a nice nickname. End flashback. Jiraiya sighed. I thought you hated me. Then why did you reject me when I asked you out? Because I realized that I shouldn't have to stress myself to look good for someone who is only interested in one thing. Jiraiya walked behind her and placed his hands on her shoulders. You're a very strange girl, but then again you've always been strange. I liked you when we were young too. You never had to try to impress me. After I apologized to you, I realized that I liked you much more than the girls with the curvy bodies. I just asked you out a little late because she had started to mature, but that wasn't why I asked you out. The sad thing is, that I still like you. But it's painfully obvious that you don't feel the same way anymore. You don't want to leave Dan, do you? She narrowed her eyes. He already knew. She stood up from the table and slowly walked away from Jiraiya. I'm so sorry. You don't have to be. I understand and it's alright. I should have realized that. It's all in the past now, so let's just head back to bed. I'm not tired. I need to be alone for a while. I'm a little stressed out right now. I didn't need this. Jiraiya nodded and headed back to his bedroom. Tsunade sat on the couch with her knees up to her chest. She buried her face into her knees and sighed. She whispered to herself, I need to forget about Dan. He would have wanted me to move on and be happy. She looked over at the end table and picked up the picture frame with Jiraiya and Orochimaru hanging on the monkey bars. Jiraiya and Orochimaru were friends even before they met me. They were so close. She set the frame back down. Don't you miss the good old days? Tsunade turned her head to see Jiraiya next to her. She smirked. I thought I said I needed to be alone. Yeah, but I wanted to check up on you and make sure you were alright. He's so caring and he's always checking up on me. He's taken care of me for so long and not once have I paid him back for it. I'm always pushing him away. She moved closer to him and smiled. Hey, Baka. I know it's very late for this, but are you still up for going out with me? Jiraiya's smile widened. Of course. That's not even a question. Alright then. You can get a second chance at me. Jiraiya wasted no time on this opportunity and leaned closer to her and pressed his lips on hers. She didn't pull away. Instead, she wrapped her arms around his neck and laid down on the couch. Jiraiya laid on top of her and continued to kiss her. How do you two breath? That's disgusting. Tsunade broke their kiss and looked at the small boy who had caught them in the act. I thought you were asleep. You two are talking too loud. Jiraiya stood up. I think it's time we all went to bed. He held his hand out to Tsunade and pulled her off the couch. They all went to bed. Jiraiya pecked Tsunade on the lips. I'm glad that you're not mad anymore. Tsunade giggled. Let's keep it that way. Tsunade slowly opened her eyes. She adjusted her eyes to the sunlight coming in from the window and then blushed. Jiraiya had slid his hand underneath her shirt in the middle of the night. She hit him forgetting about the conversation they had that night. Jiraiya woke up from the hit and fell to the floor. Ow. What the hell, Tsunade? She put her hand to her mouth. I'm sorry. I forgot. Wow. You are going senile. She narrowed her eyes and glared at him. I take my apology back because of that. HMPH. Jiraiya smiled at her. Hey. I'm kidding. Naruto woke up from the bang Jiraiya made when he fell. He jumped on his back. Make food. Jiraiya smiled and grabbed Naruto and sat him in his lap. Okay, what do you want? Muffins. Jiraiya smiled and stood up. He handed him to Tsunade. I'll get started on breakfast. He pecked her on the. Tsunade changed Naruto into a red t-shirt with the Leaf Village symbol on it and jeans. She changed into her everyday outfit and walked to the kitchen with Naruto. She sat him down before a knock came to the door. She walked to the door, saw Genma and Raida there with Shizune. Hello Tsunade-sama, they said together. Tsunade wrapped her arms around her assistant's neck and pulled her into a tight hug. You're okay. They let you out. I was so worried about you. Genma smiled. She wanted to come see you, but the doctors said she shouldn't walk around by herself since she was seriously hurt, so we came down with her. Ah, you two are so sweet. Why don't you stay for breakfast? Jiraiya's making muffins. They all nodded as Tsunade led them into the house. Jiraiya set the table up and looked at Shizune. Hey, Shizune, how are you feeling? 100 times better. That's good to hear. All glad you're okay. She smiled and sat down at the table. Thanks. They all ate. Tsunade fed Naruto so he wouldn't make a mess of everything. Jiraiya sat next to her and watched as she stuffed food into the child's mouth. Raida smiled. Shizune told us about your medicine, so you're stuck with Jiraiya. Tsunade smiled. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's actually kind of fun and a lot of interesting stuff happened in this past few days. They three Junin looked at each other. Shizune raised her eyebrow. And by that you mean? Well, She blushed slightly, not wanting to tell them about what happened last night with Jiraiya. However, Naruto was willing to do it for her. Like yesterday night when daddy was on top of mommy, and I don't know why, but they looked like they were trying to stop each other from breathing by put their mouths on. Tsunade put her hand on Naruto's mouth to shut him up. Jiraiya looked away from the three completely shocked Junin. Tsunade was completely red and looked down at the floor. Damn, Naruto has a bigger mouth now than when he was older. Genma stared wide-eyed at Tsunade. You sleep with Jiraiya when a child was in the house. Wow, Tsunade-sama, I never knew you would do something like that. Tsunade shot Genma the evilest glare he had ever seen. Nothing happened last night. Jiraiya grabbed the plates from the table. Well, nothing like that anyway. I did kiss her. Shizune looked at Tsunade and smiled. I knew it. Your whole, I hate Jiraiya, speech was a way okay, keeping your huge crush on him a secret, wasn't it? Just then another knock came to the door. Tsunade jumped up from the table and ran for the door. I love whoever's at the door right now. She opened the door and saw Kakashi. Tsunade-sama, why is your face all red? Never mind, the village needs you right now. What for? The Akatsuki is here. Tsunade's eyes widened. Where are they? They're tearing up houses in search of Naruto. It won't be long before they make it here. The only one I can't find is Itachi and the leader. Kuso. She turned to Jiraiya. We have to evacuate the villagers. Jiraiya, take Naruto to Neji. Make sure he guards him with his life. Genma and Raida form a team of Junin and rescue as many people as you can. Kakashi, form a team of Anbu and take out as many members of the Akatsuki as you can. I'll find Itachi. Shizune looked at Tsunade. What do you want me to do? I want you to leave the village and inform the Sand Village what's going on. Take Azumo and Kotestu with you. I can't risk you in battle. You just got out of the hospital. Shizune frowned. She knew Tsunade was looking out for her help, but she really wanted to stop the Akatsuki. She sighed. Hi, Tsunade-sama. They all took their leave. Tsunade ran through the village in search of Itachi. She was stopped by Kisame. He grinned at her. Ah, Tsunade-sama. Just the person I was looking for. Where are you off to in such a rush? Get out of my village. She threw a punch at him and winced. He had pulled his chakra-eating sword in front of himself to protect him from her punch. Tsunade pulled her hand back and cupped it with her other hand. Damn, you. I know what you're after and I won't let you have him. Ooh, you stupid girl. Why would you want to keep a monster in your village? Think about it. By letting us obtain the Kyuubi, you would be protecting the entire village from him. Tsunade looked at her bleeding hand. She narrowed her eyes. No, even if he is a monster. He's still a Konoha shinobi and I will risk my life to protect him. He smirked. Is one life really worth it? If you give him to us, you'll be saving thousands of lives. Once the Kyuubi breaks free from the boy's body, he'll die and your village will be completely destroyed. Then what will you have left but the guilt of keeping the boy alive in the village? Tsunade frowned. He was right and she knew it. By handing Naruto to them, she would save Konoha, but what would everyone think of her, especially Jiraiya? He would never forgive her. She looked up and her eyes widened. Kisame was replaced by Itachi. Tsukuyomi. Before she could close her eyes, she was hit with Itachi's special attack. In Tsukuyomi, Tsunade looked at her surroundings. She was in a battlefield that she remembered all too well. It was the place where the war took place. She looked around and saw only 6 bodies lying there lifeless. Her eyes widened as she recognized who they were. Dan, Nawaki, Jiraiya, Naruto, Shizune, and Sakura. She ran to them calling out their names but received no response. She knelt down beside them and tried to hold back any tears she felt, trying to remember that this wasn't real. Please, stop. She began crying over them as she watched them die over and over again. Tsunade collapsed to the ground. Itachi walked up to her violently shaking body and frowned. This village is even more pathetic than our last visit here. Look at their Hokage, she's barely strong enough to call herself a shinobi. How sad. Finish her off, Kisame. I'm going to search for the Kyuubi. Itachi walked away from them and Kisame moved closer to her. It would be my pleasure. I'm honored to be taking the life of one of the legendary Sannin and the fifth Hokage. He lifted his sword over her body and swung only to be stopped by a human-sized orange toad. Jiraiya had showed up in time to save Tsunade. He glared at Kisame. I let you get away the last time we met, but I won't let you get away with hurting Tsunade. Kisame frowned. You always ruin our plans. Let's make a deal. Give us the Kyuubi and I'll spare her pathetic life. Jiraiya looked at her. She was shaking violently and her body was heating up. He looked back over to Kisame. I'm not giving him to you and I won't let you hurt her. Jiraiya was about to attack when he heard Tsunade whimpering. He looked back over to her and realized that he should tend to her before anything else. He ran to Tsunade and lifted her into his arms. You're lucky that she comes before killing you. Besides, you're not going to find Naruto. I guarantee it. HMPH. We'll see about that. He left the two Sannin to search for Naruto. Jiraiya carried Tsunade through the forest and stopped when he reached the place where they were hiding all of the villagers. Iruka was the guard. He walked up to Jiraiya and looked at Tsunade. What happened to her? Itachi did this to her. Is there a medical ninja anywhere? Iruka shook his head. No, they're all on the battlefield rescuing the villagers. Besides, I don't think any of them know how to cure this except for Shizune-san and Tsunade-sama. Sakura might know, but I'm assuming she's on the battlefield as well. He put Tsunade up against a tree. Iruka walked to the lake and soaked a washcloth in water. He walked back over to his Hokage and wiped down her face to cool down her body. A few hours later, Kakashi arrived with the last of the villagers. Mission accomplished. The Akatsuki fled without finding Naruto. There were no deaths, but many injuries. Sakura walked up to Kakashi. Some of these injuries need a certain type of medicine. Since our village is completely destroyed, we don't have any medical supplies. Jiraiya frowned. He had to take Tsunade's role until she was taken care of. Sakura, can you cure Tsunade? She was hit by the Tsukuyomi. I was never taught that, but I'll do everything I can. She knelt next to Tsunade and began to try and heal her. Jiraiya looked to the rest of the ninja. We are going to form small groups of villagers together and evacuate to one of our allies. There will be 3 ninja with each small group. Iruka and Kakashi will be in charge of organizing the 3 ninja teams. Anko and Ibiki are in charge of putting the villagers into small groups. They nodded and did as Jiraiya told them. He looked over to Sakura, who was quickly losing chakra for trying many different things in order to cure her teacher. She eventually got it and Tsunade opened her eyes. Sakura smiled at her. How are you feeling? Tsunade hugged her. I'm better. You're getting good at this medical stuff. Soon you're going to be better than me. Sakura smiled as Tsunade let her go. I'm going to go make sure everyone else is okay. She stood up and ran to her friends. Jiraiya sat next to Tsunade. Everyone is okay. I sent Neji to the sand village with the others. We're going to be heading there tomorrow. You're going with Anko and Kurenai and I'm going with Kakashi and Asuma. The other team heading to the sand is Guy, Rock Lee, and Sakura. We're all taking a small group of villagers with us. Tsunade laid down in Jiraiya's lap. I see. That sounds good. She closed her eyes and drifted off to sleep. Jiraiya ran his hand through her hair and gently placed a kiss on her forehead. Kakashi looked at the 2 Sannin and smiled. He looked over to Anko. Hey, you lose. They definitely have something going on between them. Anko frowned. HMPH. Fine. I still don't get why they waited until now to decide to hook up. Either way you lose. Now pay up. Kakashi held his hand out to Anko. She growled and handed him 200 ryo, $20 in America. Kakashi smiled and pocketed in the money. Anko, even though when you make that face it means you're pissed off, you still look cute. Shut up, Hitaki. No one asked you your opinion on me. She crossed her arms and looked at the Hokage. So Tsunade-sama, you do have a gentle heart. Hey, could have fooled me. She leaned up against a tree and fell asleep. The next day, they all prepared to leave for their assigned villages. The three groups headed for the sand village were taking different paths to lure off the Akatsuki. Jiraiya and Tsunade met with each other before they had to leave. Jiraiya placed his hand on her shoulder. Be careful, Harem. You too. She smiled and wrapped her arms around him. He kissed the top of her head. Come on. Let's head back before they begin to worry about us. He cupped her chin and pulled her into a kiss. He broke away after a few seconds and grabbed her hand. Tsunade smiled and followed him back to the campsite. They all headed off. Anko and Kurenai stood on both sides of their Hokage. Kurenai looked at Tsunade. Tsunade-sama, what's going on between you and Jiraiya? First there were rumors about you having a kid and now no one knows what's going on. That first rumor wasn't true, but we are together. Anko and Kurenai looked at each other and said in unison. Took ya long enough. Tsunade giggled. Shut up. Come on, we only have 20 minutes left before the sun sets. She looked at the villagers who were exhausted from the long walk. They weren't used to this. She saw a small boy collapse out of exhaustion. His parents were probably with the medics with injuries. She was about to go and help him when she saw a lady, who the boy probably didn't even know, pick him up. She smiled. This village has changed a lot more than I have ever imagined. These are probably all of the people who kept their distance from Naruto when he was young and now they all owe their lives to that boy. Shizune and the rest of the ninjas finally made it to the sand village. They walked up to the village guards. What is it? Shizune spoke. We're from Konoha and our village needs the help of the case cage. The guards nodded and let them through. They ran to the mansion and saw Gaara working in his office. Shizune walked up to Hi, Gaara-sama. I have a request from Tsunade-sama for you to assist our village. Gaara looked at her. What happened? The Akatsuki was after Naruto and completely destroyed our village. We had to evacuate everyone. Tsunade-sama would like you to help in defeating them. Gaara nodded. I owe it to Konoha. I'll help. For now I'll have rooms prepared for you. Are there others coming here from your village? Shizune frowned. I'm not sure. Most likely, but I don't know the entire plan. They can't fit all of our villagers into your village. Gaara spotted the little blonde boy pulling and playing with Neji's hair. Is that Naruto? Shizune smiled. Yeah. Tsunade-sama accidentally set up the wrong medicine and he drank it. Gaara nodded. He called Tamari into the room and told her to set up rooms for them. She looked at Naruto and smiled. Ah, he's so much cuter now. Neji was relieved and Naruto hugged Tamari. You have yellow hair like mommy. I miss her. Tamari frowned. Who's his mother? Shizune laughed. Tsunade-sama. Tamari laughed and led them to their rooms. Neji fixed his hair and growled. This is why I hate little children. Shizune giggled. Sorry, Neji, but that's reality. He glared at her the rest of the way to their rooms. One more day, and then I can see the others again. Tsunade sat near the fire and kept watch over all of the villagers. She watched as they slept peacefully under the watchful eye of their Hokage. They put a lot of faith in her and Tsunade didn't like it. She feared putting them into a life-threatening situation and then having them hate her for not being able to save them. Much like what happened 2 days ago. She wasn't even able to put up a fight with Kisame and Itachi. She had to be rescued and that bothered her to no end. Tsunade was independent. She fought herself and she hated losing more than anything. The only thing she hated more was having to rely on others for her protection. There was no use in getting upset over it now. What was done is done and now she had the future to worry about. She promised to protect Naruto and make sure Shizune and Sakura became better medical ninjas than herself. That's all that mattered now. I wonder what happened here. Maybe Konoha isn't good enough to handle themselves. Oh well, can't say it's much of a loss. Shut up. Do you want to make him angry? I'm not taking care of you again if he hurts you. It doesn't matter. Let's get going. I only came here to see if they were here. It's obvious that they're not. We head to the sand village next. The three shinobi groups finally arrived at the sand village. Tsunade and Jiraiya helped settle in their villagers and immediately went to the leader of the village, Gaara. Tsunade leaned against the wall and stood beside Jiraiya. Thank you for this, Gaara-sama. Gaara nodded. It's nothing. Konoha has aided me before and so it's my turn to pay you back. It's obvious that the Akatsuki is becoming a problem for villages everywhere. We are just the only two villages to care about what happens to the Jinchuriki in our village. Other nations are happy to get rid of the demons, but they have no idea what the Akatsuki has planned with them. Tsunade frowned. We don't have an idea of what they plan to do either. Jiraiya shook his head. Actually we do. The demons are so strong that nobody can control them. Not even the Jinchuriki can control them well. I bet you had a problem controlling Shukaku, didn't you Gaara? Gaara nodded. Jiraiya continued. Naruto has very little control over the Kyuubi and since the boy is younger now, he has an even weaker control on the demon now. Tsunade crossed her arms. What's your point? The Akatsuki has found a way to control the demons without ever letting them free. They plan to use the demon's power for something terrible, but I don't know that much yet. Gaara narrowed his eyes. How are you sure of this? As we speak, I sent some of my toads to keep a close watch on them. I get information on a daily basis on what they plan. Tsunade smirked. So we have an advantage over them already. Now all that's left is to come up with a plan to destroy them before they complete their goal. Gaara nodded. Right now, you guys should rest up. Your villagers should be safe here. The ninjas traveling with you are staying in the mansion, as well as you two. It's two people in a room and whoever wants to keep Naruto in their room can. I would advise him staying with one of you two. Jiraiya smiled. He can stay with both of us. Me and Tsunade will share a room. Gaara looked at Tsunade to make sure it was okay with her. She nodded. Gaara sighed. Alright. Naruto's with Temari now. She's been taking care of him since your apprentice made it to the village. Tsunade and Jiraiya nodded and left of their room. Tsunade sat on the bed and sighed. It's so good to get out of that forest. Jiraiya took off his jacket and sat next to her. I know. I thought we were never going to make it here. Tsunade giggled and laid her head on his shoulder. Jiraiya grabbed one of her pigtails and twirled it around his finger. He kissed on the top of her head before a knock came on the door. Tsunade lifted her head and let the person in. It was Temari and Sakura along with Naruto. Hey, sorry to bother you, but we came to bring you, Naruto. Naruto held his arms out to Tsunade and she lifted him up. He wrapped his arms around her neck and hugged her tightly. Mommy, I missed you. Where were you? I was on my way here. Naruto frowned. You took so long. I have to tell you what I did while you were here. Tsunade watched the two girls leave and then walked over to the bed and sat back down. She placed Naruto in her lap. Okay, tell me what you did. Naruto gave her a huge grin. First I played hide and seek, but I wasn't very good at it, so Gaara-sama helped me find everyone when it was my turn and he helped me hide. Then I played with Kankuro-san's puppets. Some of them were a little scary but he showed me how he moved them and it was really cool. Then Temari-san let me ride with her on her gigantic fan. Then I played tag with Sakura-san and Neji-kun and I got them both. Then Lee-kun taught me tie something with kicking and punching and stuff. It was fun. Tsunade giggled and played her hand on his back. She controlled her chakra there. Sounds like you had a busy day. Jiraiya smiled at her. What were you doing? Checking to see how much longer this will last. I think this is the last day. Tomorrow he'll be our full-grown Naruto again. I guess it's better though. That way he can put up somewhat of a fight against the Akatsuki. Tsunade nodded. That's true. Pain frowned. Is everyone ready to take off to their assigned areas? The members nodded. They all headed to their assigned villages to search for the Kyuubi kid. Itachi was assigned to the sand by request. He had a strong feeling that the boy was there. Itachi walked through the desert and transformed himself into a middle-aged Junin from Konoha. He figured since there were already Konoha ninjas there, he would have been late or a messenger from the other groups. He easily got past the guards and looked for any signs that Naruto was in the village. Tsunade laid on the bed with Naruto on her stomach. Jiraiya sat at the corner and shook his head. Naruto, why do you like Tsunade so much? I don't know. She's fun and she takes care of me and buys me things, and she has a diamond on her forehead and it's fun to poke. He climbed up to her face and poked her forehead. Tsunade put her hand on Naruto's head and looked out the window. The sun had set and it looked about 8. She sat up and gave Naruto to Jiraiya. I'm going to take a bath. Fortunately they don't have hot springs here, so I don't have to worry about you sneaking off on me. Jiraiya smirked. You silly girl, I wouldn't do that for 2 reasons. 1, you'd kill me and I'd never be able to get you to forgive me, and 2, I don't want to hurt you like that. You've definitely been through enough. Tsunade smiled. Good, now I really don't have to worry. She stood and walked into the bathroom. Naruto traced the red lines on Jiraiya's face and smiled. Why do you have those on your face? 'Cause I do. Naruto sat on the bed and crossed his legs. Jiraiya looked at him as he tried to do a back roll and sighed. Careful, kid, if you hurt yourself Tsunade will kill me. A knock came on the door. Jiraiya called out, come in. Sakura walked in. Sorry to bother you, but is Tsunade-sama here? Yeah, but she's taking a bath. It's probably going to be a while. Do you need me to tell her anything? Well, not really. I just wanting to ask her something, but it's not important. Well, it's important, but I'll ask her later. Are you sure? What's it about? Sakura walked into the room. It's just, I've been thinking a lot more about Sasuke. I know he left Orochimaru, so I just don't understand why he's not coming back. She told me not to think about it much because it only causes more pain, but I just can't help but wonder if he really left to become like Orochimaru. Jiraiya sighed. Well, I don't think Sasuke is anything like Orochimaru, to be honest with you. Sasuke doesn't have the heart to kill without reason. He definitely has the heart to kill when it's necessary, which is what any good shinobi needs to have. I wouldn't worry about him. We'll probably run into him on our way to defeat the Akatsuki. Then he'll come to his senses and return back to Konoha. Sakura smiled. Thank you. I hope you're right. Naruto walked up to Sakura. I wanna play with you and the others again. Sakura picked him up and nodded. You don't mind if I take him for a while, do you? Jiraiya shook his head. No. Tsunade and I had our fun with him. You can take him if you want. Sakura walked out the door carrying Naruto. She shut the door behind her, leaving Jiraiya waiting for Tsunade to come out of her bath. He eventually got tired of waiting for her and walked up to the bathroom door. He turned the knob and frowned. The door was locked. Figures. She does this to torture me. He pulled a senbon from his pocket and picked at the lock. He gets it to click and slowly opens the door. Jiraiya stepped into the bathroom. Tsunade's back was facing the door. She had her eyes closed, making it easier for him to sneak up on her. The water was up to her chest and her head was resting on the wall. Jiraiya placed his hands on her shoulders and caused her to jump up and throw a punch at him. He grabbed her hand. Whoa, Harem, calm down. It's just me. Tsunade put her hand to her chest. You idiot. You scared me to death. Jiraiya chuckled. I couldn't help it. I love when you let your guard down. I hate you. How did you get in here anyway? I know I locked the door. He showed her the senbon he used to open the door and smiled. I love being a ninja too. Tsunade frowned and blushed. Where's Naruto? With Sakura. Don't worry. Tsunade Harem, we're alone. She blushed more and smiled. And just what do you have planned? He kissed her cheek and leaned his head on her shoulder. I got tired of waiting for you. That doesn't answer my question. You know how I am. Use your head. Tsunade turned her head. He kissed her as she turned. She had her arms around his neck as he dipped his arms into the water to wrap them around her waist. He traced her bare body form with the tip of his index finger and felt her shiver. He broke the kiss. Do you plan to ever get out of the water? Not right, no. Why? He smirked and kissed her neck. She closed her eyes and clutched onto his shirt. He pulled away. "'Cause I figured you would get cold." She giggled and as he ran his fingers up her body again. "I won't get cold if you keep running your hands over me like that." He kissed her and placed his hands on her back. He ran his hand down her spine and stopped on her lower back. She pulled away and smiled. "I'm pruning. Let me get out." Jiraiya unwrapped his arms from her. He handed her a towel and watched her step out of the bathtub. She wrapped the towel around her and sat on the edge of the tub. Jiraiya sat next to her and wrapped his arm around her. She kissed him as he pulled her into his lap. Tsunade wrapped her arms around his neck and pulled away. "I never saw this coming." Jiraiya shook his head. "Me either. You're shaking. Get dressed." HMPH. "Well, whose fault is it that I'm not dressed yet?" "Hey, I wanted to spend time with you and you were taking forever in the bath." "That's your own fault." The two of them walked out of the bathroom and back into the bedroom, where they saw Kakashi sitting in the window. He smiled. "Did you two have fun?" Tsunade blushed. "What do you want, Kakashi?" "To inform you that we have an unexpected visitor from the Akatsuki in the Sand Village." "Which one?" "Itachi. He's in disguise as a ninja from Konoha. We need to be careful. We can't endanger the Sand Village at the cost of Naruto's life." Tsunade nodded. "Already. We'll be careful." Kakashi left. Tsunade laid down on the bed. Jiraiya laid next to her and ran his hand through her damp hair. She closed her eyes. "We have to hurry up and get rid of the damn Akatsuki. I'm getting sick of them." "Me too. It's not like we can just run in and take them out. They're powerful. It takes at least 2 or 3 people to kill one of them." Tsunade sighed. "I hate them. I wish they would leave us alone. I wish the stupid Kyuubi was never in our village." Jiraiya pulled Tsunade to him. "Forget about it, Harem. Things happen. We'll keep Naruto safe, don't worry." He kissed her just before she fell asleep. He got up to get ready for bed. Itachi looked through the windows of the Cage mansion. He stopped when he found Shizune and Sakura's room. They were playing with the person he was looking for. "I found you, Uzumaki Naruto." He was just about to get him when Pain appeared. "Forget the Kyuubi for now. We still need to get the 8th Jinchuriki before this brat. Kisame found it. Let's go." Itachi frowned but obeyed his leader's command. Dash. A little further. "We're almost there. Who exactly are we looking for anyway?" "Shut up, you little witch. He didn't tell us for a reason." "I wasn't talking to you, bastard. If you two don't stop, I'm going to kill you. You'll find out when we find him. For now, shut up and keep moving." Tsunade rolled over in her bed. She looked to her side and noticed Jiraiya wasn't there. She sat up and looked around the room, but there was no sign of him anywhere. Just then Jiraiya and Naruto came walking through the door. She smiled at Naruto. "Hey, kid, I can see you're back to your normal self again. What happened to you? Your precious little Sakura and Shizune beat the crap out of me for being in their bed even though I had no idea what I was doing there or how I got in the Sand Village. Ero Sennin had to explain everything, and the way I see it, this is all your fault, you old hag." Jiraiya winced as Tsunade shot up and hit Naruto in the face with a pretty strong punch. He looked at Naruto and sighed. "That was the stupidest thing you have ever said, and you've said some pretty stupid things. Now you've been beat up by 3 medical ninjas. Good job." Naruto grabbed the side of his face. "Damn, the 3 of you all have temper problems." Tsunade crossed her arms. "Shut up. I missed you when you were a sweet little kid and you actually liked me. Now you're annoying brat again. Get used to it." Naruto stuck his tongue out at her. Tsunade put her hands on her hips and did the same thing right back at him. Jiraiya just stood there watching his girlfriend act like a little kid. He grabbed her hair and pulled her backward. "Tsunade Harem, you're not 5 years old. Stop acting like one. Naruto, if you want people to stop treating you like a kid, I suggest you stop acting like one." Tsunade raised her eyebrow. "When the hell did you become so responsible?" He sighed and slid his hand under her knees and lifted her up to toss her onto the bed. Since you obviously aren't responsible enough to take care of yourself. Naruto knew something was different about the two of them, but he couldn't put his finger on it. He shrugged and sat down next to Tsunade. All of a sudden a knock came to the door. Jiraiya opened the door to reveal Gaara. Tsunade-sama, you need to come to my office immediately. I suggest you bring Naruto, Sakura, and Kakashi along with you. Is it bad? What's going on? It's surprising. Tsunade quickly changed out of her pajamas and ran to Gaara's office with Naruto. On the way they stopped into Sakura and Kakashi's rooms in order to get them. Once they arrived at the office, the five of them were surprised to see none other than Sasuke Uchiha standing before them. He smirked at Naruto. Long time, no see, Dobi. Naruto's eyes were wide. Sasuke, what are you? I've decided to go back to Konoha, but when I got there the village was completely destroyed. I saw no bodies so I assumed you all evacuated. I knew you would be in the sand since you had such a good relationship with them. Naruto was in shock of this too. He didn't know why they were in the sand. Jiraiya had kept that out of his explanation of why he was in the sand and in bed with Sakura and Shizune. He turned to the two Sannin. Why didn't you two tell me the village was attacked? By who? Tsunade frowned and quietly answered. The Akatsuki. Naruto clenched his fist. That's it. I've had it with them. They think they can do whatever they want and get away with it. Well, I won't let them get away with this. I swear I'll destroy every single one of them if it's the last thing I do. Sakura looked at Naruto and frowned. Naruto, calm down. She looked back to Sasuke. So you're going to work with us? Sasuke nodded. On one condition. I get Itachi. I want to kill him. Then I'll get the others if they're still left. Tsunade nodded. It's a deal. Do you mind tell me who those guys are? She pointed to Sasuke's team. Sasuke looked at them. Yeah, this is Karen. She's the brains of the group. Suigetsu. He wants to collect all of the swords of the 7 shinobi swordsmen. And Jugo, a former member of Orochimaru's team. He only obeys me. Tsunade nodded. Then it's settled. You work under my terms and you can kill Itachi, understood? Sasuke agreed. I hope you're a pretty decent leader. I haven't seen much of your skills, so I hope you're not a complete waste. Naruto tried to suppress his laughing, but couldn't help it. Tsunade hit both Naruto and Sasuke in the head. You, stop laughing, and you, what the hell is that supposed to mean? Sasuke held his head tight, regretting that he had said that. Ow. Damn, that hurt. Nothing, I didn't mean anything by it. Tsunade smiled. Good, that's what I thought. Now go hang out with your former teammates and catch up. Oh, and if I were you, I would avoid pissing off Sakura. Her punch can be as nasty as mine. Sasuke's eyes widened as he looked at Sakura. She smiled and waved at him. He smirked. Wow. This used to be such a pathetic village. Now everyone is stronger. Naruto smiled and put his arm around Sasuke's neck. Damn straight. Come on, we have a lot to talk about. Right. Sakura-chan. She smiled. Hi. The three of them ran out of the room, dragging Kakashi and Sasuke's new team with them, leaving just Tsunade and Gaara in the room. She shook her head and sighed. They're so cute. Anyway, what's our plan for the Akatsuki? Gaara sighed. I don't know. I was thinking we separate them from each other. We can have a group of 4 or 5 people to attack them at a time. That way we can corner them and they can't escape. Also, by separating them, they won't be able to help each other out. Tsunade nodded in agreement. Sounds good. The strongest should take out the leader. That would be me and Jiraiya. I want you, your siblings, Kurenai, and Anko to take out Zetsu. Naruto, Kakashi, Hinata, Shino, and Kiba will attack Tobi. Guy, Tenten, Lee, Neji, and Asuma to get Kisame. Sasuke, his team, and Sakura will get Itachi. And finally Shikamaru, Ino, Choji, Shizune, and Genma will get Konan. Gaara nodded. It's fine. We begin our attack in 2 days. For now you and your shinobi can relax in the village for a little while longer. Tsunade nodded. Thanks. I'll be in my room if you need me. She walked out of the office and into her room to find Naruto laying on the bed. She sat on the edge of the bed and placed his head in her lap. What's wrong? Nothing. I just thought I'd leave Sakura and Sasuke alone for a while. Sakura is a lot happier now, but Sasuke is just a little more surprised that Sakura can actually fight now. Hey, Sakura's still got a thing for him even though she's really good at hiding it. Naruto nodded in agreement. Jiraiya walked into the room. Naruto sat up and smiled at him. No research for you here, huh, Ero Sennin? He walked up behind Tsunade and wrapped his arms around her waist. Nope. I've got all the research I'll ever need right here. He lightly kissed her on the lips. Naruto was sent into shock. When did you YR? What the hell is going on? Is this a trick? Tsunade laughed and laid her head back onto Jiraiya's chest. Why would this be a trick? I wouldn't let Jiraiya kiss me if this was just a trick. But, Ba-chan, you said that you would never go out with Ero Sennin even if your life was in danger. Tsunade blushed. Naruto was usually in the room after she had had a bad argument with Jiraiya and she always said really mean things like that. She smiled. Well, I lied. Naruto sighed and shook his head. You old people are so weird. Why would you want a good 40 years before deciding to go out with each other? I just don't get it. Jiraiya smiled and kissed Tsunade on the cheek. You don't have to get it. It's between me and Tsunade Harem. It was now late and Jiraiya had decided to train with Naruto a bit in the room. Tsunade sat and watched Naruto get thrown to the ground once again. She knew Naruto wasn't gonna be able to land a hit on Jiraiya. It would take a miracle. The two finally stopped and Tsunade quickly healed Naruto before he passed out. Jiraiya, I think you went too hard on him. No, I wasn't. He's getting stronger, that means I can fight him at full force. Naruto smiled at her. Why yeah, I'm fine. Tsunade stood up and helped Naruto off the ground. Jiraiya ruffled with Naruto's hair and smiled. You're getting to be just like Minato, kid. Not as strong, but close. Tsunade's smile quickly turned into a frown. She had just remembered that Naruto didn't know who his father was and Jiraiya had no idea that his greatest student was actually his son. She sighed, debating whether to tell them both the truth or not. Jiraiya cupped Tsunade's chin in one hand and pulled her face to look at his. What's wrong? Nothing. Yeah, nothing. Jiraiya frowned, but shrugged his shoulders. Naruto ran up to Jiraiya. Hey, we have the day off tomorrow, right? Think you can train me? Jiraiya looked at Tsunade and then to Naruto. I have other plans for tomorrow. Naruto frowned. And what would that be? Spending the day alone with Tsunade Harem. Naruto rolled his eyes. She better not interfere with my training. Fine, but only because I want to talk with Sasuke and Sakura tomorrow. Pain and the other Akatsuki members had almost finished with the 8th demon. He smirked. It's almost completed. Just one last demon and this one will be the toughest. Kisame grinned. Who knew those annoying ninjas from Konoha were so strong? Pain frowned. Yes, but they have a weak leader. She has left her weakness wide open for us. We kill Jiraiya sensei and she'll be in such shock, she won't be able to fight back. Itachi frowned. You doubt her abilities. She's lost her brother and lover in a war once before and she was able to fight just as well as she would have with them. She's tough and shouldn't be underestimated. When I had her in the Tsukuyomi, she fought it even though she watched them all die in front of her. Zetsu smiled. We just have to be careful, that's all. Pain nodded. We attack in 2 days. Taking out this demon was tiresome. We'll rest tomorrow. With that they all retreated back to their base. Tsunade slowly opened her eyes and adjusted them to the light shining from the window. She rolled onto her left side and looked at Jiraiya, who was still asleep. She placed her index finger on the red line on his face and traced it up and down a few times before moving closer to him and planting a soft kiss on top of his forehead. He rolled over onto his stomach and she giggled. She looked over to Naruto, who was sleeping on the couch. He had drool dripping from his mouth. She shook her head and looked back over to Jiraiya, who was now awake. He wrapped his arm around her waist and pulled her closer to him. She smiled as he kissed her. She rested her head on his shoulder. Good morning. He pulled her up to his face and kissed her again. She kissed him back and soon the kiss got deeper. Jiraiya had began to undress her, but she stopped him. Baka. Naruto is still in the room. What if he wakes up? He won't. That kid can sleep through an earthquake. Well, I'm not going to risk it. She took his hands off of her shirt and sat up. Jiraiya frowned. Damn it. Why do we have to share a room with him? Hush. Stop complaining. We'll have plenty of time later on. Remember, he's hanging out with Sasuke and Sakura today. This made him a little happier. She shook her head and kissed him quickly. She got out of bed. Thud. Tsunade jumped at the loud noise. She turned around to see Naruto on the floor. He had rolled of the couch in his sleep. She giggled as he held his head. Ow, 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 ow. Stop laughing, Ba-chan. That really hurt. She walked up to him and placed her hand on his head and checked for any lumps. She sighed. Stop being a baby. You're fine. He crossed his arms and frowned. I see how it is. You're nice to Ero Sennin now, so you're gonna be mean to me. She kissed the boy on the head and kept her hand there. They're better. He rolled his eyes. Yes. I'm gonna go see what Sasuke and Sakura are doing. He quickly changed and ran out the door. Tsunade sighed. That boy has no appreciation for anything I do for him. Jiraiya got up and stretched. He does. He just doesn't show it. You spoil him too much. You act like if you were his mother. Tsunade smiled. I'm just used to treating him like that since we were taking care of him. Jiraiya rolled his eyes. No, you've always been like that with him. Anyway, let's get going. The two of them got dressed and walked out of the Cage mansion. Tsunade was very unfamiliar with the village. She had only been there for meetings with Gaara. She had never really spent too much time in the village because she couldn't stand the heat. Jiraiya, on the other hand, knew the sand village very well. He had spent most of his life traveling and looking for the best research spots. The sand village didn't have much of what he was looking for, but he did know the village pretty well. They walked into a restaurant that Tamari had recommended to them. They sat down and ordered their food. Jiraiya looked at Tsunade and noticed how upset she looked. Hey, Haim, what's wrong? She looked up and smiled. Nothing. It's just this village is so different from ours. I'm not used to it yet. That's all. He smiled at her. Alright, so did you get a message from the other villages? She nodded. They said that they all arrived safely and had no problems. I'm just glad to hear everyone is safe. I know Naruto would have ranted for hours about me being a bad Hokage if he knew anyone was hurt. Jiraiya shook his head. You and that kid argue more than you argue with me. I'm starting to believe that you really think he is your little brother. Tsunade frowned. Yeah, maybe. He does have a strong resemblance to him, but it's not possible that he's related with me. I don't have any relationship with his family besides a family friend. Tsunade was struggling to say this because she did want to tell Jiraiya the truth, but at the same time, she didn't. Lucky for her, Jiraiya didn't catch on. That's true, but still, you baby him. She crossed her arms. So what's your point? Jiraiya sighed. You are the last person I see having a kind heart to someone who is constantly making fun of you. Does this make any sense to you? He smirked. He was referring to their childhood and how he constantly had a new nickname for her. They were never nice either, and not once did Tsunade let him live it down until he apologized to her. There's a difference between you and him. Naruto is cute and he's not as horrible to me as you were. And I did forgive you, so I am nicer to you now. Their food came and they ate and talked for another hour. When they left, Jiraiya took her for a walk around the village. The heat was almost unbearable for Tsunade. She preferred a colder climate or mild heat. Jiraiya knew this and smiled. Tsunade glared at him. Why the hell did you pick for us to go to the sand village? Because you sent your precious Naruto there and so I figured you would want to see him again. Tsunade raised her eyebrow. Baka, are you jealous of Naruto? Jiraiya looked at Tsunade confused. Why would I be jealous of him? Because I'm more affectionate with him than you. And I didn't send Naruto here, you did.